everyone. I hope all is well with you. I'm Dr. Chanel Sermon, and I am Dr. South Carolina America 2024. In today's message, I want to talk about emotional and verbal abuse. Before I get into that message, I just want to give you a little bit of background about how I've been involved with spreading and promoting mental health for my platform. So I began my pageant journey in 2021 as South Carolina Elite Miss Heart of the USA. Then I went on to become the Miss Heart of the USA National Queen of Hearts. And then I also became the first woman to be crowned Miss I Am Her International. Now, on all of my pageant platforms, I've always promoted mental health. For one, it's been a cause that's been near and dear to me. And two, I have been spreading it through talking about it in person, online, and also creating safe spaces for people to share how they feel and to tell their stories. The walks I've done in the past would be mainly domestic violence awareness walks. And the reason why I would go on those walks is because I am a survivor, and I feel like the more I learn, the more I hear stories, the more I'm able to help someone. And I feel like it's also super important that we do not trivialize each other's stories too, because trauma is trauma, pain is pain. I remember when I was in college, I had a roommate that told me that she would rather experience physical pain than emotional pain. And at the time, I was in college. So I did not have a fully informed opinion on it, but this is my thoughts on it now, having been through cycles of abuse at different stages in my life. And the fact of the matter is, abuse is abuse. And both types of abuse can leave lasting scars. And to be quite honest, both types of abuse can potentially lead to an early demise for the person that is being abused. For the person that is being emotionally abused, if they are highly insecure with themselves, if they don't really love themselves, if they don't really see themselves out of a situation, that could provoke them to take their own life, and that's not what we want to aim for, okay? And then a person that is being a victim of physical abuse, of course, you don't want something to ever escalate to a point where the physical abuse becomes deadly. So in either scenario, abuse is abuse. Both, to me, is dangerous, okay? Now, again, when I was talking about going on domestic violence walks, this is something that I've been able to identify with. And another thing I like to mention, because we celebrate these things at certain parts of the year, this is not something we need to just observe in October, but we need to observe it at all parts of the year, talk about it all the time. And so my due diligence here is to talk about emotional and verbal abuse. And one of the things that I've learned from going on those walks concerning domestic violence is that there is a tendency for men not to want to speak up because of societal expectations that they are less of a man because they won't accept abuse from a woman. And that's a highly toxic traditional mindset, okay, that we have to get away from. We got to hold everybody that commits abuse to others accountable, whether they're a man or woman, okay? With that being said, verbal abuse can lead to emotional abuse, where it could be name calling, body shaming, things like that. And a lot of times when people abuse others, usually they have a certain level of trauma or an insecurity that they have not gotten over. So what do they do to feel better about themselves in that moment? They project. And what they do, instead of focusing on healing or dealing with that insecurity, they put the focus on you and they tear you apart, or they try to if they can, okay? If you allow them. And I'm going to share with you before I get off this video how you can stop that from happening. But what they will do is try to tear you apart so that they can feel better. Because if they find that thing that's wrong with you and they rub it in your face, that gives them gratification. And that's really something that needs to stop. That person needs to be made aware of it. And if they refuse to accept that that is morally wrong, then of course you will need to do this. And the way that you stop abuse is by holding them accountable. So how can you hold a person accountable? The best way I find that you can hold a person accountable is not by trying to change them, not by pointing out all of their faults. Just address the thing that you have a problem with, that you need them to work with you on if you're going to continue the relationship. And I don't care what type of relationship this is. It does not just have to be romantic. It could be with your family, because a lot of times how you relate to your family determines how you relate to others. If you allow your family to continue to disrespect you and you tolerate it, you're likely to do that with someone else if you're not aware. So that's why you have to really look at who is in your circle and don't be partial with it, okay? But what you do, again, like I said, hold these people accountable. You start by letting them know, hey, if you continue, and it just depends, because some people, I want to call them high-level abusers, okay? And the reason why I say high-level abusers, because some people, they will go out their way to control you, all right? And that's where these things become dangerous. You got some, they know how to just fall back and be like, well, I'll let you go or whatever, but they know good and well they need to apologize. But that's a whole nother topic. But then you got some, and this particularly is in a romantic relationship, where the partner cannot accept the fact that the person that they're with is holding them accountable. And so they fight back really hard. And you just got to know who you're dealing with. You got to know. You got to know if this person is the type that's going to take their abuse to a whole nother level. And usually there are signs. But point out what it is that they do so that you can at least be fair in giving them that opportunity. And 9 times out of 10, if you done been chilling with this person for a while, you done been living with this person for a while, family member, or in a relationship with somebody, 9 times out of 10, if the person has already abused you, you already called out the behavior. So where are you now? Think about, have this person made any efforts to get better and better? Again, it's not about you trying to change a person, because changing a person is useless if the person don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. If they feel like, hey, that's just a part of them, either you hate it or love it. Okay, so what you got to get to now is preserving you, because if you continue to sit around in an environment where somebody is verbally and emotionally abusing you, it's going to take a toll on your mental health. And I do not feel like anybody is above it. I don't care how much money a person have and how they look. None of that stuff that we see on the outside can affect the trauma that is being placed on you on the inside if you are around a person that body shames you or insults you over and over again, okay? If you're in a romantic relationship, a person there doing things that are sketchy, and the worst thing that we see besides physical abuse in a relationship is someone cheating on you. And so that's emotional abuse, because they are disregarding your feelings. Okay. So at the end of the day, when you see abuse in any form, to accept it means to stay. To reject it and say enough is enough, it means to go away. And I'm going to even take it a little further. Don't be partial with it. Don't be partial. What do I mean? If it's a family member that has been doing these things to you for years, don't say, well, I'm going to go away for a month and hope they learn a lesson. No, You need to go away for a while, and maybe you can call them every now and then, but if it's still the same foolishness, hey, look, get on the phone and be like, look, I have to, let me talk to you later. Right now, I can't do this with you. You got to preserve you. Okay, and this is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. Sometimes self-care is you're going to have to let this person eat from the fruit of what they have done because they refuse to think about how you feel. You thought about how they felt, but they are continuing to do those things to you. And let's just suppose if y'all do it to each other, if you are aware that it's wrong, now you got to work on you. And you just have to be like, well, you know what? I don't like doing this. I got to figure out how can I get help about it? What can I do? Why am I doing this? Okay. I dealt with a young child the other day that was disrespecting me. And I told this child that I'm going to write you up. And the child didn't want me to do the write-up. And I saw that the child was upset. So then I talked to the child and I realized that the child was doing things or saying things to me because of what somebody else had done. So this child was doing things to me because somebody else did something to them. Okay. And so when you look at that, that is telling that sometimes people, when they're mistreating you and they're abusing you, it's not because you've done something wrong. It's because they're trying to handle that frustration. Now, there's some people you're going to have to cut off cold turkey just because they are used to your presence. They're used to you being available. They're used to you putting up with the foolishness, but you're continuing to find yourself hurt. I know with me, with one of my relatives particularly, when I would get into an argument with this person, I would get physically sick, and I deal with underlying issues at times, and arguing with that person because the person would go ad hominem, meaning they won't address the issue, but they're going to attack me in every area that they feel is a weakness to me, to upset me, to get me out of their face instead of solving the issue or resolving the issue that's in front of us. So I had to really go cold turkey because that person had no type of respect for me. And I had to really stick to my principles. And people will call me and update me on this person. I'm like, you know what? I don't hate this person, but I'm not coming around this person because there's never been a resolution with this person. Even when I tried, it's never been a resolution. And then it's always, well, that's your this, that's your that. That's your this is your kinfolk. You got to accept this or you got to let it go. But letting things go and sweeping things under the rug only creates a bigger mess. Just think about it. If you literally did that, if you literally swept the things on your floor under the rug over and over for years, do you think your home is going to be cleaner? And that's the same thing when you're dealing with family issues. When you sweep behaviors under the rug and you do not address it, it becomes a bigger issue because this person will continue to think it's okay to talk to you any type of way. They're going to think it's okay to do you any type of way. So whether it's a family member or somebody that considers themselves some type of friend, I don't care who the person is, hold them accountable. Once you bring that issue to them, and most likely at this point you have, the next thing you do, you got to cut them off cold turkey. And that's my suggestion. It may not feel good. You may wonder about them. Well, for me, I don't know about you all, but if I wonder about them and I love them, I'm going to pray for them in my personal space. But I'm not going to come around them until I can determine that this person respects my feelings. But until then, we have to keep this distance because I have to make this person accountable. Okay, and this is not controlling a person. This is breaking a toxic cycle of abuse. So I hope I was able to help somebody in this message. And look, self-care is not selfish. That's a form of self-care, getting away from abusive cycles, okay? Don't ever let somebody think because of the relationship they have in your life or the role that they have or supposed to have in your life makes it okay for them to say and do anything that they want to do to you. I don't care if this is your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your best friend, your pastor, apostle, preacher, teacher, whoever. Do not accept abuse on any level from anybody, okay? So I say this with love, and I hope that this has been of value to everyone that listens. All right, so take care.